we have before our very eyes an Ibanez Artist from 1981. It's a fine looking machine and it weighs an absolute ton, as all Gibson shaped guitars tend to do. It's a one solid chunk of wood. I tell you, it's a lovely looking guitar. It's gold. You can't quite tell because 1981 all the gold has sort of worn off and left something. The electrics on this are not great. This doesn't work and the switches are bad, poor, etc, etc. But I just wanted to show you the guitar with this camera, and then I'll move over to my other camera to show you the repair. The back, it has a nice slogan on the back. Built by the proud craftsmen of Ibanez, Japan. Japan guitars are good. Got a few little chunks in it that I'm just going to touch them up. I do like the patina on this. It's a fine looking old aged patina, because you can see what I mean by patina. It's taken off the gold off it, but what is it, 42 years old, so your gold would be worn away too. And you know how I know it's 1981? H81, made in the what was the name of the place in Japan? I forget now. Anyway, I'll tell you later. A few little touches up to do. I'm not going to try to make this look new because I think it would ruin it. The neck is got a little bit more of a bend on it than I'd like. Before we go to the other camera, I'll just show you the neck. There we go. There we go. Now you see the gap there? It's touching at that end. And as you go along it, you see that there's a gap. And then it's touching at that end. Now I do like a gap in the middle, but that's just a bit too much for me. So I'll have to adjust the head for that. So we'll get stuck in here. I think the first thing we'll do is get these strings off, because they're absolutely rotten like love. They're black as a boot. They've been sitting a long time. Okay, so I'm just going to do my favorite. I'm going to chop them off with nothing. I'm not going to loosen them or anything. I think those are 46. I'm not sure what they are. Oh, here comes Georgie girl. Has to get in the nosiness. You have to get in when there's a string. There she is, chewing away. She hasn't been chewing on the strings for a while because I've been a little bit busy doing other things, so I haven't had a chance to do all the guitars. That's a very nice way of putting the strings in. Look, you just put them in sideways and then you bring them like that. That's a nice sort of shape sideways, and then just bring them straight underneath, and it's very, very nice. Can't see it much better than any other, but it's a nice way of doing it. All very dirty here. Now, Georgie girl, I'm sorry to upset you, but I'm going to have to take these strings off. And I'm going to upset you, I know, by not letting you. Yes. You were sleeping nicely in your basket till you heard the strings being cut, didn't you? There we go. Now, yes, I know. Just let me wrap them up, because if I don't wrap them up and put them in the bin, yes, I know you want them, but they're mine. They're actually black. I was going to show you how black they were, but she's not letting me, so let me finish unraveling these. Do you mind? Excuse me. They're going in the bin, and you're not going in the bin after them. Look. Your public are watching you. Behave. You're not going in the bin. You hear me? You're not going in the bin. Right. Now, frets are worn, so they're going to need to be shaped. Fretboard is black. Ouch. Don't bite me. So, I'll tell you what we'll do. Before we clean up anything, we'll get the neck the way I like it first. And that means taking off the... Oh dear, she wants a cuddle. And you know what happens when Georgie girl wants a cuddle? You come second. So forget me. Okay, cuddles are over. I took off the truss rod cover. Dirty, dirty, dirty. I've noticed that this, let me just use it. This has got bolts on it. I don't think I'm fussy on the bolts, to be quite honest. And I'll tell you for why. Because first of all, they're not needed, because the strings will hold that down. But secondly, one's lost. So that means that if one's lost, then the guitar looks odd shape. I like things to be synchronized and synchronicity. I was going to straighten the neck first, but I think I'd rather take this off and get it all cleaned up and lubricated. It'd be nice if I could find a bolt that would fit. Why do they need a bolt? I can't see why they need a bolt in there. It just, that's actually the head's been damaged, the bolt's not coming off. So that's another good reason not to have a bolt. Right, and that plate is screwed down to the body. And it's fitted inside that, is it? By the look of it, it's fitted inside that. Oh no, it's not. My mistake. See when I start moaning? Nylon washers. Again though, the nylon washers are unnecessary. It actually looks better without the nylon washers and the bolts. Because why have the nylon? There's nothing to hold down there. So I'm going to strip this because I want to get it really clean. This here, I'm going to take these off as well. It's a nicely made guitar. Can't think what the... You see, I can't think what the bolts are for. You'd think that maybe for rattling, but the strings are going to put the weight down on. I don't know what. I can't figure out. If you can tell me what the bolts are for, in practical terms, please let me know. If not, I think I might leave them off, put them in a little bag and put them in his case and see what he says himself. Look at that dirt. Yuck. Right, where's me switches removerator? Patent pending. Look, padded. Perfectly good. Those are nice, easy ones to take off so far. I think I'll just strip this guitar. I'll do the neck at some stage, but I'm going to strip this guitar. I should have got a bigger pot, which I will do, but not just at this moment in time. I'll not take that off, not take that off. Save that dust going anywhere. I'm just going to use a little wipe to pick it up, because if I don't pick it up, then it will go onto my mat. I'm using just an ordinary kitchen wipe, which is slightly damp. You know, you get them from the packet and it's damp and it'll keep the dust inside it. And you can see can you see the shade? Yeah, oh, I don't need to show it to you, because that's been in the sun and it's been in the natural light, and it's changed the color of the pattern. It's all just to the middle, or is it grist to the middle? I can't tell. I must look up my dictionary. Is it grist or just to the middle? I forget. Anyway, just give it all a bit of a wipe. It looks nice, just to get a bit of a clean. Right, okay. So that's that part done. Those frets look really dirty. That's a well-played guitar. Look how dirty the inside of the fret, one fret is. So I'll just give the head a clean too. Now I think I'll adjust the neck, now that I got those off. You got the strings. You got the strings out of the bin. You're not allowed to have the strings. No, because you have them every. Well, I tell you what. Go and play with them. There you go. Go and play with them. She got them out of the bin, so it's too late now to scold her for that. So, and I'll come back to you when I'm adjusting the neck. Okay, got myself a can of Pepsi because I'm not being sponsored, and I got myself a bigger jar for the container. The back of the bridge tailpiece, whatever, it actually says on it, nicely manufactured, Ibanez, made, patent pending, made in Japan. made in Japan. All nice solid stuff. I bought myself, I went and spent £7. £7 I spent on buying this that I thought was a universal truss rod for bolt action truss rods. Doesn't fit. So fortunately it has a big enough gap up there that it fits one of my spanner locks, so it has to be tightened. So I'm just going to tighten that now. Right, there's just too much, so I'm going to tighten it. Right, okay, let's just see how much. Oh, just that'll do us. That'll do you. When I say that, let me just give it another twitch. Beautiful, perfect. Now, the only little concern I had about this is that to get the neck the way I like it, I might have affected the top string height, because the string height was so close to that fret, it was actually too close. So by me bringing this up, it might make that too close again, so I'll have to make some adjustments maybe to the nut, which is a bone nut, which is nice, which sounds nice. Very loud guitar this. I played a little bit on it between crackles because this is not working at all. So what I shall do now is I shall move the camera and I'll clean the fretboard and let you see how I'm going to clean it. I'm going to scrape it because it needs a good scraping. It's got years of gunk on. I'll show you in a second. Can you see the gunk on that? Can you see, if I just move it about, how thick it is and how dark it is between the frets? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get a blade and scrape it all the whole way down. Then I'll check the fret leveling and give it a polish and see where we go from there. Right, so this might be a little bit boring, but I'll let you know that I've been very, very busy boy with my energy consultancy work, and it's kept me away from guitars a bit, but also I am acting as an election agent for an election that's happening over here, and that's kept me busy too, for a non-political candidate. Well, every candidate's political, isn't it true? But this is a non-political, doesn't wear the colours that are obliged to be worn. He was like me, that's why I'm his candidate, because I was an independent for 22 years. So he is an independent too. He used to belong to the party, but he was always he was always in trouble because he was independent of the party, and so he eventually said, no, I can't have this anymore. And he went independent. So I said, when he asked me, would you like to become my election agent? And I said yes, because I still, this sounds big-headed, but I still have a fairly strong reputation as a councillor when I was on the council. Noise time for my little vacuum. I love it. Now you can see the difference. One was scraped. It's going to get another scrape and it'll probably get smoothed out a little bit. But whenever let me wet it for you to see what it'll look like. I'll just wet it a bit, and you'll see the color change is amazing compared to what it was before. Look at that, the difference in that fret compared to what it was like before. It brought out the vibrancy in it. So I'm very pleased with that. Now I'm going to probably go fast through this, but I'll just finish telling you that I'm doing my election agent bit. And for you, those of you who don't know, an election agent is the organizer of the candidate, and he is the legal person that's responsible for making sure the finances are up to scratch. Those of you who don't live in the UK, we have very, very strict election laws about spending. You're only allowed to spend so much, and it has to be accounted for. And every penny you have to you spend, they call it expenses, but it's not expenses that you get back again. It's expenses that you're allowed to spend. Now, that's perfectly fine if you're in a party, because the party can then go and say, listen, we've got 35 candidates, we're going to bring to you some printing to be done, and the printers will say, yes, we'll give it to you for such a good discount deal because you're doing so much with us. But when you're an independent, it doesn't work that way, because you're going into the printers to do your printing, which is the biggest expense, and the printer says, well, there's a one-off job, so you have to pay that much. So parties have an advantage. Parties also have an advantage because they can use their logo and they can use their symbol, whereas an independent can't call himself an independent this or that on the election material. He can't say he's an independent swimming pool man or anything like that. He has to just say independent. So your name can't say what you stand for. Whereas in this country you can have somebody a party person who's a Republican or a Unionist, and people automatically know what you stand for, which is not always a good thing. But the independents always have a harder fight to get elected. But I'm pretty sure that my man will get elected because he has been proven to be the hardest working assembly member in the assembly in the last 8 years. The lists of work he's done is amazing, and he is one of those people which I'm very proud. I wouldn't represent him if it was any other way. This sounds sort of like the corny American type thing. He works for the people, but this guy, he just works for the people and nothing more. He's not interested in all the committee chairs and all the fancy things. He just wants to get the job done because he does actually like doing the job. And he's been doing it now for 12 years, and it's a re-election time, and I'm more than happy to be his election agent. So I think I'm going to shut up now and do this speeded up, because you get bored and I have no other stories to tell you. Well, I have lots of stories to tell you, but coming up to this last one now, and this one, these top 3 frets, maybe the top 5 frets, have always got an awful lot more dirt on them than all the rest of the frets, because these are the money frets, and they also have slight bit of wear, not too much. Now you may be surprised to learn that this is a very, very sharp brand new blade. You probably saw me taking it out of the box, and it will do a whole neck, because you're not pressing too hard, you're pressing gently on it, and you're just taking off the screw. Now there's only a tiny hint of wood in that, because all the rest of that is sweat and skin and all sorts of things that you wouldn't want to know of after 42 years. So I'm not taking too much off. I'm just taking off the dirt and a tiny shiver of wood. I'm just taking away a little bit of the plastic on the edges too, just to give a smooth appearance. If you go too fast, then you cause little waves or ridges. So you got to go slow enough that you don't cause those waves and ridges on the plastic. On the wood you can go a little bit faster, but not too fast. You go too fast and it'll go jitter and judder. And that doesn't look good when people are looking at it close up. Not that a lot of people look at it close up, I must admit. But it's the feel of it and whether you like the work you're doing, so you do it right. Now all I'm doing is a little bit of the scraping of plastic, not going fast. Neck needs a full job done on it, because it's got frets that have been worn away and Right, okay, now I'm going to go down again, just clean there, in there, one way. I'm going to clean it in there. Okay, those frets do need a good polish because they're all over the show. And there are chunks out of them. Okay, let's give it a dust and a good clean with a hard brush. And a tiny hint of, yeah, that's the water. Water with a tiny, tiny hint of soap in it. And give that a good scrub in there. Some people would say, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. Well, I'm doing it. It doesn't do any harm as long as you doesn't let it sit overnight or something silly like that. If you let it sit damp, it just soften the wood too much. Mind you, this will not do an awful lot of harm because I don't think this wet fretboard has ever been oiled. So I think this maybe give the wood some deep dampness in the inside of it, which will do no harm. Right, okay. Okay, so where's the tissues? Get that off. What I can do, contrary to what I said 5 minutes ago, there's one job I can do. I can check the frets to see how even or uneven they are before I switch off the camera. All right, okay. Right, that fret's a bit high. So now I'll let that sit, give it an hour or two, get something to eat because my belly's just gone all skinny because I'm so healthy. See you later. I'm just going to round off these a little bit because there's some wear up here. I'm not going to go crazy on it. And when I've rounded them off, there's some there that are quite flat. When I've rounded them off, I'll check the levels and see what it's like and then do a little bit more. I'm using my special little tool that has, I think you've seen that before, haven't you? Well, maybe you haven't been. Maybe you've not been on the channel before. Can you see that? It's got little grooves down it, diamond edges, different sizes of grooves for the different size of frets. This one's a more medium one, so I'll use that. And I've taped off each side just so that the edge of this tool doesn't score. But generally speaking, it's a very good tool to use. My favourite bit now, oiling it. Love the smell of it. I use my fingers. Yes, I shouldn't use my fingers. Right, I'm going to let that sit for a good 10-15 minutes. Let it sit in, and then I'll soak it off, because the oil needs to penetrate into the wood to keep it and give it longer protection. Frets are looking nice now. Going to do something down here now, but one little thing I notice is inside this, it's brass against brass, and it's very corroded inside. And that's not a big deal. You could leave it and not do anything, but I think I'm just going to put, you can actually see the white powder kind of coming off my hands. It's like corroded powder. I'm just going to put a little drop of, I'm going to clean it out first and put a little drop of oil in there. Let you see, look, the white powder coming off. So it's been corroded over the years, and obviously I think it's like the powder you get on aluminum or aluminium. That's the kind of powder it is. WD-40. I think the Americans call this a different name, don't they? What is it? Release oil or something like that there? I forget what the... Okay, it's a bit white there. So what I'm going to do is do this and then spray it, and then tidy these in and out for a bit. Spray it again. I remember doing this once, long time ago. It's up. The video's up there. I was doing an electric guitar that had been sprayed a beautiful color of orange. What was it? It was a miniature guitar or something like that. Actually, it was an electric mandolin. Lovely color. It came beautifully. But whoever sprayed it never put a lacquer coat on. And so when I sprayed, I tried to be careful, put the spray down there, but it ran and it took the whole coat off, so I had to respray the whole thing. The man was very, very understanding, but he's got a better job now of what he had then, because it should have had a layer coat on it to protect it, but it didn't. It's in my videos somewhere. But I learned a lesson. Make sure you got a lacquer coat on. And I've already tested this, and it's got a lacquer coat on it, so. Electrics are fine on that. So let's have a look at the electrics on the back and take off the proud Japanese sticker. I can't get at them much in there, so I thought I would be able to get in them. Get in there. There's not much for me to look at. Everything looks to be fine. Oh, ha! Sorry. I've taken one screw. You didn't see that screw. Shall I do a rerun? Let you see me taking the screw out? I don't think you like that. They feel like metal. These. That's metal. That's not. Maybe it is. Yeah, I think it is metal. Anyway, it's all going in the jar, because I definitely know that I'm going to have to do some work on this one and take this switch out. Well, not that I definitely know it, but I think I am going to have to get in there to lubricate it and get it vital again. I'm going to have to do that. You in the middle. Alright. Now, are you going to let me bring you out so I can work at you? Or are your wires so short that you don't let me do that? Ooh, I have some room. Ooh, look at that. And somebody stuck a bit of tape there. Why would they stick a bit of tape there? I often find out that sometimes there's a reason for everything. So why would they stick a bit of tape there? I think it's because this washer, which is supposed to have edges on it, have lost the edges. Yeah, there's hardly any edges on it, so they've stuck a bit of tape to hold it, so I'll replace that washer. Right, and this here, I got a feeling is just going to need a good cleaning. Fine and long. I've never got that drink of Coca-Cola, Austin. What are you doing? For goodness sake. I put it in there, right, between the contact and the point. Switch it across. And see the dirt coming off it. Switch it back. Draw it through. Do that 3 or 4 times. And then I turn it round and do it with the other side, which will clean the other side of the thing. Wiring all looks good. Contacts now look pretty good. Yeah. So, okay. Switch you off for a moment. I'll come back to you later. Okay, that's cleaned, but I'm just going to stick it back in there, and we'll do some more with the front. Just put it back in there, and I'm not going to do anything with it more. I'm not tested yet until we've looked at the back. Might even stick a bit of tape on that. Just be careful what tape you stick on guitars, because you don't want to end up taking off lacquer. And I'm thinking this lacquer's fine, but I'm thinking the lacquer on this is slightly thin, not what you would call those high thick gloss lacquers, so just have to be a little bit circumspect about what you do. Now, what am I doing now? I'm going to spray these and work these. No, they're stiff. I'm going to spray them and work them, which is a rather boring video because I'm going to do spray and twist and twist and twist. So I'll switch it off and come back just to show you now that the switch is working, and it was just the dirt. That's middle position, top, and bottom. So it's working. It just was very dirty. I'm going to put together now, get the strings on before I do anything more, and well, before I do that, I'm going to clean these parts pretty carefully, and that's another boring job that I'm sure you don't want to see me doing, but I'm going to clean that and get them back on again, oil them up a little bit, get them let me just see. They look pretty good quality. Yeah, they're working fine. They're pretty good quality. So I'm going to give this a good scrub and a good clean. Again, boring to see. I'll come back when I'm putting everything together. That's that, okay. So the next thing I'll do is I'll put a string on, one string, just to get the thing right, so I'll come back to you. Right, the strings are on, not tuned, not intonated, but I'm going to give this little thing a clean here because it crackled and popped, if you remember when I first tested it. So all I've done is rolled up some sandpaper, and you go inside and you can see the rust coming off it. Maybe the sandpaper's a little bit thick, so I'll just roll it up like an ice cream cone again, and thin. Oh, I spit on the thing. Right, okay. Shove it in. Not too forceful. Actually, I want it to be further in than that because there's a contact further back which touches the top end, the positive end of the jack plug, and if you're too fat, it won't go. That's it now. So that I can be sure now that I'm rubbing the top end of that contact there, because I know it's deep enough in now. I would never be forceful with this because you end up breaking some of the contacts and you'll have to replace the jack plug. So just gently. Okay, I think that's probably enough. We'll soon test it. But you can see that's all dirt from the jack plug inside. Just, it's not dirt, rust. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Look at that. You can wobble it about. Okay, now I'm going to get it up to tune. Do I want to keep the camera running while I get it up to tune? I don't know. It's not worth it, is it, really? Once I get it up to tune, I'll come back on, switch it on. Right, I'll do the final tuning now. Show you a little issue that I try to show everybody. E. Just touching the blue, right? Set it up straight. And it's sharp. Can you see that? It's just when you tune a guitar flat, you've got the weight of the guitar pushing down on it, and when you lift it up, it sharpens the strings. So you always have to tune the guitar afterwards. It's all pretty well intonated. Yeah, I'm not going to adjust that. Slightly flat. I'll give it a tweak. Tune it again. Perfect. So what I did, made the distance between there and there shorter, which raises it. So when it was flat, you bring it forward, which shortens the string, which raises the tension. So the intonation is pretty good the whole way there, from there to there. Okay. Next thing I'll do is I'll show you it in a second. Now, I don't know whether I can do anything with this, but if you look at the left hand side of the bridge, you see the metal has been worn through with somebody's palm rubbing up against it, which is pretty normal. But you can see copper and you can see metal, and on the other side you can see copper and metal. I'm actually going to put a little bit of metal lacquer on that. Whether it'll help or not, I don't know, but it'll just stop it getting dirty in future. So all I'm going to do is that square with metal lacquer, and I'm going to rub it with some acetone first, just to clean off any grease or anything, although it has been cleaned thoroughly by sandpapering and getting rid of all the gunk. It was actually thick black gunk on it. It's almost all gone now, but it was thick. It was sitting up. It was so thick. It's the skin of people's palm of their hands rubbing against that. I should have health and safety insurance, shouldn't I? Now that has been worn away. It's not as badly worn away as this side, which is down to the bare metal. I have some gold extreme sheen paint, but I think that would look tacky on it. So I'm just going to put a little drop of metal lacquer on it, just to give it a little bit of a, I don't know what I'm going to give it, but it's just going to give it something, I think, you know. It's going to give it a little just protective coating. I'm going to do it with a Q-tip. Q-tip cotton bud. Q-tip. For my British friends and English friends, they're called Q-tips in the Yankee land. So that just gives that a little bit of sheen. I'm going to set it flat. It smells just like woman's nail varnish, but that might just give it a coating. So I'm going to put some over there too, just to stop the wear and tear of that going past the chrome again. I presume it's, you know, you're reaching for the switch and you're turning the switch and you're rubbing against that. So So it just gives it a little protective layer. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's give it a protective layer, yeah. Not going to do it on there because that's, no, it would be streaky and look bad. But you're looking at it now and you can't even see anything done to it, can you? Because it's a clear coat. What have you done here? What have I done here? I put the lid on without the, if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't put the little spacer in, it would have jammed the lid on. I'd never get it off again without a whole lot of hassle. And I don't like hassle. Right, I'm going to let that sit and dry. I'm going to put a Fender Strat on my bench now and start it, and I'll start recording it. And then I'll come back to this when I'm ready to tune it up and play it. I'm doing a little touch up now. There's not much I can do. I've hidden that a little bit with brown marker and down the sides. It's a lot better than it was, but it's not going to be, it's a little bit hidden, but it's not going to be amazingly. The gentleman's not going to say to me, wow, that's like brand new. I only have so many colors of these things to use. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some crystal clear lacquer on. Hard, durable crystal clear lacquer just on the little spots that if I can get the thing open. Right, okay. Now it comes out white, but I know it comes out crystal clear, hard lacquer clear. And that'll just give it a little bit of a more of a bluff, because this is all about bluffing it up. Just on the little touches that I've put on. What that'll do is make it shiny, deflect the light a little bit so people won't see. Actually, if you look at any, I'm not comparing myself to artistic touch-up artist, but there's a one on the YouTube that I find fascinating called Baumgarten, B-A-U-M, Baumgarten Restorations, and it's like a miracle. But he says that it's not touching it up to hide it. It's touching it up so that the eye is deceived, so you can't see it anymore, which is not the same thing as hiding it completely by redoing it. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just touching it up to hide it. And I don't think I can do any more than that unless you're respraying the guitar completely. But that's that. And Polyvine is the name of the interior and exterior high gloss satin depth, water resistant, and it washes up with water. So let's see how that goes. I'll leave it for an hour. Okay, I'll give you a little demo on the Ibanez now. Let you hear what it sounds like. It's all up full, middle, and all. It's very loud, very nice. I think it's a better player than we give credit for. I need a better amplifier. That one crackles a bit. Oh, sorry. Not very easy to play it holding it, but you get the gist. It's playing nicely now and it looks lovely. It's all tidied up in the back, and I've adjusted the back a little bit, done something with the scratches and the scores and the screens, and the neck is beautiful now. A beautiful neck. It's actually a lovely guitar. It's worth between 500 and 800 quid. So it's going home to mommy too. Daddy, daddy, daddy.